right fierce and terrible here. I probably didn't mention some things and omitted some things in the rules that are kind of important. So, for one thing, there's a stacking limitation, which is 2 soldier types per ship. Now, or per hex usually. Where the French have double ships chained together, they're allowed 4 in there. So they have more overall firepower, etc. out of that. It is, I think, actually an advantage to be chained. We'll see. And then also, facing doesn't seem to matter in any sense of the game. The ships just sail hex to hex, so we'll worry about that. I've got my English set up in terms of who's on which ships. Got Edward on the Thomas, which is kind of a biggish cog. A little stronger, I think, than any of the others. And we set this up. And we see if we can do this right, or close enough that it's some fun. Okay. So, the English drew a French chit, which means the French get to take an activation. They don't plan on doing anything. So they're going to activate the Orange Squadron. Wait a minute. No, the French get to pick. They're going to force the English to move. The English will move their brown squadron, their first squadron. I get to bring Thomas on. And now he's got the wind going with him, so they cost 1 each, and the current is not against him. So, the movement of 10, we can get quite close. Close enough? I don't know. I get to keep moving though, because this is just the sails and oar phase. And we'll set up in a line formation. To face there. We're not in ramming range, so we go to archery. 21.4. Let's make sure I can shoot at range 2, which I believe I can. 2.14. That's not going to help me. That's just where it goes in the ordering. So, at a range in the same or an adjacent hex, so I wasn't quite able to get close enough. Now this means the French could cut loose and come closer with their ships during their activation. No grapple, no boarding. I went as far as I could. And now we're in the maneuver step. If I had galleys, I could move them. Since we're on the next ship, I'm going to take a little break, because I like to take breaks. Marking the person whose turn it is to draw. I'm putting the cup over there, but we get a quick draw for the French, and this time they draw the English. So the English get to choose who to go first. They tell the French to go first. Boom. It doesn't really make much difference. Now the English are drawing and they get an any. That means they get to choose specifically which squadron they want going. They're going to tell the blue squadron to go. Again, you know, the French want to test out how chained works. Now the French get the draw. They get their any. We've already fired these off. I'm going to force the English to move in. I can't really tell their squadrons at this point. You know, should I be allowed to? Yeah, I think so. I'm going to tell them to move their silver squadron into play. This is absolutely not what I'd want to do, but we'll get sailing in there. Now, I actually may have cheated a little bit moving too far here, because I kind of zigzagged, and as you can see, Going that way costs 2 each time, so I should probably pull these guys back at least a hex. Because these guys couldn't have gotten there, could they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine, 10. I don't think this guy got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he was fine. 8, 9. And this guy will come into line there. Should have only one chit left. Who's drawing it? Huh. The French must have drawn that one, so this is going to be an English draw. They get to pick who to go. They'll force the French to go. French hold off. And now the English get to bring in their last line. And again, we're not worrying about any of these phases because they're just not happening. I'll slide them in and I'll come back for the Sally phase. Although nothing's going to happen through any of this either. Now, for the Sally phase, archery, we're still not within range. This actually has to be same hex for it to even work here. Boarding. I'm surprised at the... Oh, you can shoot at people you're grappled to. But I'm a little surprised about the crossbows. Only being able to fire at the same hex or a grappled ship. Okay, sounds good. Boarding melee, there's no opportunities for that here. So it's time. Collapse check, nobody's below 6. There's no rally possible. Squadrons of fire, nobody's on fire. And now wind and current change, and I got no idea. I do not see any results there, so we'll look this up. And that's 2.34. It's not going to be there, though. That's where it references in the sequence of play. Roll a die for each. On a 6, we see again if the direction changes. Okay, well, I'm going to need to grab myself some dice, and we'll probably pick some dice out specifically for this. Let's get a red and a blue for English and French. Alright, we'll roll 1 for the current and 1 for the wind. And we're good. That's all stood still. We go back up. We pull these in. And next turn should be a little more interesting. We should actually... I thought we'd actually see some action on this turn, but you know, the English had to cover some ground. Regardless of the fact that the English got the first pick last time, they always get the first pick every turn. So, we'll draw one. They get an any. What do they want to do? Do they want to use this to make sure they move their front formation first? Or are they, you know, fine with opening up with letting the French go? I think they're going to let the French go. And I get to actually pick the formation, so I'll pick this blue one, which is the most frightening, and I'll pass. The French pick a French pick. They're going to hand it to the English, and the English, well, we actually might not hand it to the English. The reason being, if the English get another pick and pick the French again, the French may get a pick and be able to force one of the back English fleets to go. I don't know how much difference it makes when this is here, though. But okay. We'll try that out. Nothing too exciting. And now the English get an English pick. Do they want to take their chances? No, not particularly. They can see what the French may be up to. So, the question we have is, do we want to ram? And I'm not sure if the French can ram us if they're chained. for that. A specific prohibition against it, which to me means the English don't want to ram. They've got the archery advantage. They've got longbows, so let's move. It's 1 that way and 2 that way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll just sail into place there. We're not ramming. We get to archer. Okay. And we'll compare the archery factor as a positive and the castle factor as a negative. Doesn't apply if they're in the same hex. The castle factor is applied whether friendly or negative or enemy. Alright, well here. Do I add these together? Good question. Or does each get to fire on its own? That definitely would affect the odds, so. Nope, they have to attack separately. That's good. I would hate to have the choice because then I'd have to do some quick math that would be stupid for the game. So I've got a 2 and 2 1s, and I'm shooting at a 1, so I'm counting these, the 2 and the 1s under both these men-at-arms here. And I'm shooting at the 1 castle. I actually don't think I can shoot at the adjacent chained ship. I think that's protected. Well, can I shoot at troops? Because I'm good with that too. And I assumed I would. On targets. Sounds like I can shoot what I like. I think I left some other things out of the rules. Heroism. There are times when you can call upon the heroic ability. Edward has this little star, as do knights. Now, when knights are on their front side or on their final step, they can take a 1-step loss to avoid certain actions. And we'll see those as they kind of come up. Okay. I think I want to shoot their archers. But they have archers on the ship itself. Oh, I was looking up to see if I could shoot these particular, the chained ships. Only the top squadron can conduct archery. And I think it's the only one effective to damage. Yeah, it's the only one that can be, well, it's the only one that can be damaged. Not shot at, I don't think. Which kind of doesn't make sense because, well, I guess I can't shoot through my own ship. Is the idea or something, I don't know. Alright. So I have an archery factor of 2. The target has a castle of 1. So I'm at +1. I'm gonna shoot up the men-at-arms, I guess, first. Because they look potent. Well, let's shoot the ship first. So, +1. I do not succeed. Then an even. Nope. And an even. Nope. This may not be the way to win the game. Here I just have a 2 and a 1. Edward's not going to help. I'm going to keep shooting at the same ship because it's got a weaker castle, so it's easier for me to shoot at. So, +1, and I get a hit on the ship. This one has no castle whatsoever. I'm not too interested in that, so we still have our castles. I'm going to shoot at one of the men-at-arms in that one. And that's not successful. Now here, I think I want to shoot at this ship. See if I can hurt it some. So it's a 2 versus 2 castle. I need a 5 or more. I don't get it. I'm going to fire this one next in the hope that I reduce its castle. I don't get it. So now I've got 3 more men-at-arms, each at -1. I need 6s to hit, and I'm going for the ship still. Alright, that was that. I am not going to grapple. It's not the French player's turn, so he doesn't get the option. I'm not going to board, no melee, and no maneuver. And we go back up to the chip draw. And if I count the chits, I can tell how many have gone. 1, 2, 3. It's an odd number, so it's a French turn for a chit draw. Which may not matter. Yeah, there's another any in here. And the French get one. What do we want to do? We want to force the green line to move. And that's kind of tricky, because this is my secondary line where I have more archers again. I'm going to try to sail them into there. And that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're done with them. For movement, we're again not doing any ramming, and we go to archery. And I'll come back and let you know what happened. We got some limited success, reduced these 2 ships. Their castles are still there, and we actually hit one of the men-at-arms here. Those guys have 4 steps though, but I knocked out their capacity to fire back with crossbows. These guys still have crossbows. I don't think I can knock them out completely. And we're just going to ride down the realm and hit now to the next chit draw. This one should be the last chit, which the English get, and it's an English chit. What do they want to do? They want to force the French purple fleet to take its action. Well, the purple fleet may want to do something. I can't sail, and this is what's interesting. I don't think I can cut loose because I got nowhere to go legally. So, and there are no chain counters. It's kind of obvious that everything's chained because they have 2 ships per stack. I'm not going to be allowed to ram either. However, I am allowed to archery. And only the top one of these can fire. It has a 0. Got 1, 2. Looks like I got a total of 3 zeros I can fire. Well, let's look for the worst. This one looks like a good choice to shoot at. So I'm at -1 here. I don't have to pre-declare. Okay. Now I'd like to grapple. What do I want to grapple? I want to grapple this weak little ship here. Okay. So I'm going to roll a die. And I have higher archer and castle factor sum than the target. My archers don't add up to anything. My castle adds up to 2. He adds up to 2. I'm not going to have any benefit at going in at him. The target is not grappled or chained. It's not friendly. It's not already grappled to another squadron. Oh, the active one is chained. So I have a -1. I need a 6 to grapple this guy. And I do not. That means I am not going to be boarding, melee, and maneuver. And now there's no chit. These guys get to move. I don't really know if I want to move them. They're close enough in that they can kind of swim their way into places. However, I can get maybe around this coastal area here. This looks like a hex. All right, we'll move. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7 because of the shallow water. 8, 9, 10, and that's as far as I can get. And these guys will come into play. I'm going to keep a couple hexes between the ships. They'll still be in command. I could ram if I want. I don't want to ram. I like my longbows. Oh! Those French didn't have any opportunity to shoot me. That's okay, they didn't do anything. So now, I'll be doing some archery from these two ships onto this one. At this point I might want to consider grappling because I have numerical equality, but when I add everything up, there's a pretty big fighting capability in that one. I don't really want to board these guys with these two. I'll probably lose that fight. So, we're going to slide down to the Sally phase, and it's the archery phase. I have to roll because there's a chance the turn might end, but nobody can shoot each other. They're not in the same hex. Okay. So there's not going to be any archery, and there's not going to be any boarding or melee either. I could use boarding to shift troops around on the French ships, but I'm okay with what I have. So that's yet another turn. And all the chips go back in the cup. Ah, not quite. No collapse, no rally, no squadrons of fire. Wind and current change. Wind? Current? Not to roll on the Poochie map. And now, we're at the end of another turn. And how far along are we on this? I think we can keep going for a while. Well, obviously, the game will be a long and very boring one if the French don't cut loose from the chains. Quite simply, the English can stand off and fire at them just like U.S. airplanes can do at targets. So, we'd better consider what we're going to do. And the English draw is for the French to get the first pick. The French do not want the English to be able to stand off. So, I think that we're going to take a check here. Or we're going to take the action. If we cut loose, okay. See, chain squadrons aren't grappled. So these markers shouldn't really be here. There's no way to mark the chained squadrons other than being stacked, I suppose. And I can move into an adjacent unoccupied hex. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my people onto this. I'm going to activate the blue squadron. And I'm going to sail into this hex with the more damaged ship. And this is all unchained now. Whatever purpose it may have served, whatever indication it was, it doesn't exist anymore. These guys have cut loose. Like I said, these don't really exist, these markers. They're just there for me to help think about chaining. Now that is something I could do when? During sails and oar. Okay. Instead of movement. Likewise, with this one, I'm going to cut loose the Saint-Denis. Send that up. But I want to represent the possibility of movement between chained ships, which is something the game doesn't really specify, but is, I believe, historically accurate. Now we got some problems, but okay. Now I'm allowed to ram. Am I allowed to ram on the turn that I cut loose? I don't know. I don't see any limitation. So let us get a couple of ram markers. And we're going to both hit the same ship. some of the advantage of doing things in your own turn is you get to choose, you know, to force the issue somewhere on your own. But it's going to be here. Target's not grappled or chained. Attacker's MA is greater than the target's. Okay. In this case, we have a +1 from that. Oared versus sailed. These guys are oared. That's another +1. So now each ship has +1. But if the target's castle is greater, and that's the case here, that's going to be a -1. So this guy's at +1, this guy's at 0. Let's take a look. Do the +1. And we get a total of 3. Let's roll 2 dice. It says it's 2. Okay, so that's a total of 7. That's not going to have any effect whatsoever. And the other one is at... what did we say? At +1, -1, he's at even. He gets an 8. Both squadrons are going to be damaged, and they're going to be marked as grappled. And we can take the rams off. They've served their temporary purpose. The squadrons are damaged. That's not a step loss. That's this, which you can see reduces their melee and their sailing factor. We'll put a grappling marker between them. Now we push forward. It's archery time. Well, we can fire now. We're grappled. We have a couple of zeros. We're facing a 2 castle. I'm going to try to hit the ship itself. I'm not sure why. I like to hit the ship. So we're at -2. We can't hit. Our archers are no good. Now this kind of sucks. Oh, this is Edward. He's got a lot of troops on board. This is not going to go well for me. Okay, we are already grappled. We could board. Our strength is not very good. If we were to board, we would have to attack. And I believe we're allowed to attack without boarding, but be a copy of that here. What are we going to be rolling here? 2 dice plus our melee totals. Now our melee totals would be 3, 6, 7, 8 to 3, 7, many. We do not want to do a melee no matter what, because we will lose the battle. So this is not going to work well for us. And now we're at the maneuver stage. And in the maneuver stage, ungrappled galleys can move. Let's slide this up just to get some additional. I could have popped in there originally, which would have been wise. But I just want ships more aligned there. This did not work out well for the French, though. Tough fight. And now we'll be on the French for the next pick. Well, second pick, and it's going to be a French choice if it came up to that, but the English get the first shot. Now, the English are pretty happy. They've got the French kind of clustered together, and they can just unleash their arrows. They might as well do so rather than crossing over where they don't really have an advantage in doing so. Now, they may be able to win the actual ship, the melees, but why bother? Which set of ships would I like to fire first? I'm going to open up, I think with the green squadron, because I feel like they're the most likely to be hurt in boarding combat. And I'll come back after they do their fire, because that's all they're really doing. Got what I thought might be the first kill, some Marines, but that's not going to do anything here. We got to take actual squadrons to do something. Knights will affect things, but Marines won't. And since they're dead, I'm going to bag them. Basically, I got an any chit and fired off the silver guys over here. Well, now it's a French pick. Did I do that right? Yeah. And the French get their any. Whew. Well, I'm not going to be able to engage with the purples. I'm really set up to let the French lose this, it looks like. Which means I think I'm going to be doing some breaking free and trying to ram up here. Let's do the break free. Let's get these guys out. There should be something here, except that I'm going to shift these as well. Can't do anything about that. I'm going to have to clear some space. But now I can make some ram attempts. And we'll both try to ram this ship, I guess. Grapple their chain, movement allowance. Attackers is greater than the targets. Okay, that's not the case in any case. However, these are both ored, and they fine on the castle factor, so they both have a +1 on the table. Alright, let's do the first one here. That was a 4 or less. He's just damaged. That's not damaged. It's hard to remember. And then this one, should be a +1 here as well. I didn't mark them. 13 target squadrons damaged and grappled. And that has an admiral on it. What does that admiral do for me? Not quite sure. You know, I haven't been checking for casualty checks. Whenever they take missile fire, I gotta make a roll on a 12. They get injured. You can prevent somebody from being killed, though, by doing the heroic sacrifice. Not sure what leaders do. +1 to the melee factor for 1 unit in the hex. They have to be stacked with something, which isn't a problem. They're going to be almost always stacked with their own ship, but if you're boarding another person's ship, you'd have to be stacked. So now we go to archery and we get to fire, and we have a 0, and these guys have been shot up too much. A 0 versus a 0. I don't know what we're shooting. It looks like it's the ship. We miss. Let me make the leader loss check. Lots and lots of die rolling in this game, more than I like. We already have a grapple here, but I can attempt more grapple here. Not sure I can. Chained things can't try to grapple. Yeah, I'm just screwed with that. So I'm going to try to grapple this ship in as well. I don't know if I forgot to do that with all those other ships. So I'm going to roll a die. It's archery and castle. Yeah, I did this. So I have less archery and castle, so that's not going to help me. The target is already grappled though, so that's going to be +1. I do not grapple. I can board. Alright. Now I have 3 strength points to attack versus 4. Make it 3 because he's a damaged ship. I don't believe I have to march on board, but if I want to capture the ship, I do. And there's no damage that I can do to this ship if it's flipped. It is not flipped. So I could still damage it. I think I want to melee him from a distance at this point. So I will attack at 2, 3, 4 to 3 because of his damage. I'm essentially a +1. I should get more dice. I'll be back. Okay. So essentially I'm attacking at +1 here. To my die roll. Chances are this is not going to be terribly good. I roll a 4, they roll a 4. It's a tie. We each take a step loss on one of our units. I can't take that on this, so I got to take it on a man-at-arms. Put that over there. And get myself one of these. Okay. And the English take it on their ship. Leader loss checks for both leaders. No 12s. And nobody can capture the ship. If I could... capturing that ship, I have to march onto it to do that. Now for that to work... trying to remember how this works. I kind of screwed up and didn't rally either. For the capture to work, I have to do what? Yeah, I'll be back. I found I screwed up something there. The defending player gets his castle factor, I think. That's not listed here. I don't think there's anywhere else it is. But somewhere it is listed. I just saw it. Jesus. This is really hard to read the way it just all flows together. It's not the nice little paragraph system. Each single line is cased, and that doesn't work for me. Well, it's somewhere in here. I know I saw it. Jesus. Yeah, I know I saw it. Now I can't find it. You know, I mean, that's the problem. Nothing sticks when the rule book's organized with every single sentence having a case number. All right, I'll spend a few minutes looking at this, and I'll be back. So I found that rule. I don't remember what I was looking for. 10.11. I was looking for how to surrender. 10.11. Ignore the castle while it's on fire. Okay. But there's a chance things catch on fire. And of course that's not going to be in the fire rule. I don't remember how that's handled. I'm beginning to see why this guy wrote everything up here. But you know what? I find this too busy and complicated, just like the rule book. I appreciate that he added his notes though. Okay, so I don't know how things catch on fire anymore. You know, I mean, this is something is, you know that there's a rule, and if the rule book doesn't lock into your brain, and I had this problem with a lot of different rule books, the only ones that really seem to do it for me, Victory Games, SPI, and the Gamers. I can't tell you why. But you'd think that they're okay. Squadron can catch fire during melee. Let's look that one up. 8.3.2. No, that's not it. How about 8.3.20? Okay, that's hard to see. If it was a tie, well, we don't think it was a tie. We think we actually didn't get the tie that we thought, because the castle got added in here, which of course is not noted here, which pisses me off. Okay, which means the victor took one step from one Marine. We did that. The loser did not get a third the total, so each of his steps has to lose a point. And I think I've done that, because the ship can't take a point. Okay. So we were trying to find how the hell you capture a ship. Alright. Well, I guess I'll reread the rules and be back with that. Now, I'll be rereading these rules many times because they will not stick. Here it is. It's under capturing leaders, actually. If the leader is stacked with a friendly reduced squadron at the start of the, at least what I could find, at the start of the melee resolution, the leader is captured only as a result of the melee, and only if the leader and his squadron loses in the melee. Now, if a leader is alone on an enemy ship, he's captured by the troops there. And then it says to go to 5 something or another. Capturing and liberating. Ah, there's a whole section on it. Excellent. Okay. So I'd have to have troops on board and defeat, as long as there's a leader there, I have to defeat the leader as well. So that took me to melee. Now we're at maneuver. And I got another shot at ramming here if I want, which I think I do. Find the ram tape again, wherever it is. I'm not the target's grappled, +1. My movement allowance is faster, +2. No, he's grappled. I'm oared, make it +2. His castle factor's higher, make it +1. I don't think I noticed the castle because it's on the wrong side. The English ships have it on the right, the French ships on the left. So, you know, a counter's covering this and I see no castle, essentially. Who the hell knows? The graphical choice was bad. I don't remember what my plus was. Was it 1 or 2? I rolled 2 dice. It was some, and that's going to damage them again and give me another grapple counter. And now these 2 ships are not grappled, even though both are grappled with this. Alright, that means another pick, and oh boy, do I need a rest after that. Whose pick is it? 1 French, English, French. It'll be the English final pick. Okay, we could kind of, I did a lot here. The English forced the French to go with the next shit, which was this one. That was their purples. There really isn't much they could do. They could spread these ships out. Maybe that would make sense. To be able to maneuver them around to get some stuff out. They chose not to do it, which was probably dumb. I think I'm going to reverse that decision. Because I don't actually have any real advantage there. And I'm just going to leave them stacked. I think that's sufficient. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. The English made an attempt to ram here and failed. And then some archery fire, casualties on the French side. And then they succeeded in a grapple. Now I've got the option to board. Now, the thing is, if I board, I'm forced to melee. I can still throw these adjacent ships in, which might make some sense. Yeah, I've got pretty good odds. I want to capture them, which is why I want to send some troops in. So I'm just going to send one unit in, and everybody else is going to attack. That might get me control of this ship then. So this has a total of 2, 4, 5. It has no castle. Make it 4. That's the French strength. The English strength is 4. I'll cancel out the damage there. 9, 13, 16, 17, 18, 22. So I am 22 to 4. And we make a roll. So that's 27 to 10. That's only going to be 2 to 1, which means we do not take any damage whatsoever. But they're going to simply lose a step off of each of their units. Here's the mariners. The ship can't lose any more. These men-at-arms are going to be dropped to a weaker man-at-arms. And we failed to capture the ship, but now we have some men-at-arms on board. Now that's kind of problematic because we can be attacked, that means. Maneuver phase, our ships don't get any maneuver phase. We're done with the series, so now we go to the archery sub-phase. And this only works if you're on the same ship, but there is one case where that's a possibility. The French are going first. There is no archery capability there. There might be one back here because their archers are on the other side, which is just really annoying. So now the English get to fire back. I'll fire, I don't know, I guess at those, at the mariners. There should be no benefits here, just a +1. And I kill them. Okay. So that was successful. Now we go to the boarding stage. And the French get to go first. Now if we look this back up again, I don't know if we can grapple in this stage. No, this would just be a boarding. So now the French have the opportunity to run off their ship, but they're going to stick where they are. And the English have an opportunity to march in. Now when we get to the melee phase here, it has to be units that are on the same ship that fight. So I want to make sure that I get my numbers in this time. I'll send Eddie and some knights. This could be dangerous, but he's a pretty bold dude. So now this is the only place that there's a possibility of melee, but we still have to roll the dice. Oh no, wait, we got other fights here. Hold on. What about the French up here? They want to attack Morlaix. Right? I have a strength of 2. They have a strength... Ooh, they have a -2 there, so they have a strength of 0. We're going to go aboard there, too. Okay, let's check to see if melee happens. Note that I can't use all the strength on board my ships at this point. I can only use that during my activation. The French get first melee if they want it. They'll take it here, with a strength of 2 to 0. I get a 9 to a 7. That's higher, so I'm going to take a step loss. We'll make some leader loss checks here. But I've succeeded, so I'm going to capture Morley. There's no 12s there. So I have captured Morley, and I've captured the English ship. I've captured it. I can choose to capture it for any of my forces. But I'm going to capture it with the one that I'm near. Now that has a morale effect. English squadron captured. No castle? No, there's a 1-factor castle, which should have been counted in that combat. That means the English lose 2 and the French gain nothing. So we'll send them down. Okay. What about the leader? We just captured an English leader. That sends the English down 1, the French up 1. And remember, this is the victory right here. Okay. Now what? Over here, do the French want to fight? I am way overpowered here. So I will hold off, but the English are going to attack. And they have 9, 10 to what looks like 1. 10 to 1. Plus 10 gives me a 12. 11 plus 1 gives me a 12. We each lose a step. I gotta check to see if Edward dies. He does not. I hate to lose my men-at-arms firing capability, but I also don't want to lose my knight's special bonus. And the knight gets weak. I'm going to take the loss on the knight anyway. We each took a step loss. So that'll be this guy. And the ship's on fire. Right. No collapse. Rally. Alright. How many rallies are we each allowed? I forgot about this the first time I went through. Some. 1 mariner squadron, and each leader can rally something that's with it. Only reduced squadrons can be, no die roll. You can't do it if there are enemies on board for the squadron, or if it's grappled. Captured and liberated can't rally, and I can't rally. So Edward's forces aren't going to be able to rally. So I'll go through all the units, see if there's anything that, well, see how many anythings I can rally. I had to say the English couldn't find anything they could rally. The only thing they want to rally is over here. Which means we move to the squadrons of fire. And there's some point here where I'm allowed to kill people. And I want to do that if I can. Should be under the leader's rules, wherever those are. Here. Can be executed during sales and ore. Okay. So I can only do it during my own activations. That's going to be hard to remember. So now we're on the squadrons of fire, which means we go over here. Each squadron rolls a die and looks at its fire table. Okay. There's no modifiers. We only have 1 ship here. I roll a 2, so the fire continues. And I think it can only spread if I get a damage result on it. So it could have spread to those English ships. which would be bad for the English, of course. And now wind and current change. Wind, current, doesn't have much effect even if it changes. And we're back up at the top of the order. We've gotten to see quite a bit of the game system already. And I think that means it's time to load this video up.